The media is downplaying the left-wing victories in this week's elections. Take a look.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in November is too close to call right now between Amy McGrath and Charles Booker. McGrath leads by about 2,000 votes at this point. They're still counting. In New York, 2 Democratic incumbent seats could be in jeopardy in the state's 12th congressional district primary. Democratic incumbent Carolyn Maloney, who chairs the Oversight Committee, is narrowly leading challenger Shiraj Patel. And in New York's 16th congressional district, Democratic primary, longtime Congressman Elliot Engel, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee, trails progressive Jamal Bowman there. Casey, what are the surprises you see in these races and Democratic races across the country last night?
So I think it's tempting to read this as, progressives have, voters are looking for somebody that's more progressive, that's not part of the establishment. I think it's a little bit of a mistake to look at it that way. I think it's a rejection of the calcification of our politics, of people that have been in office for decades.
It never counts when the left wins. It always counts when the establishment wins. If you're keeping track, even on MSNBC, which is supposed to be the left network, this is the narrative. There's always an excuse. There's always a reason why it doesn't count when the left wins. But if a centrist wins, or if the right wins, mandate. They have a mandate. The left has been rejected. But when the left wins, it's not that everybody else is rejected. No, never that. See, and they're going to move the goalposts. We've seen this before. They were saying, there was a lot of chatter in the media about how Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is so vulnerable in her election. Oh my God. And then what happened? She won with 72%. Or roughly that. That was the last I saw the numbers. That wasn't with 100% in, but it was a landslide. It was a landslidington. There was no question about it. Game, set, match, like instantly. It was like, all right, polls closed, and AOC won. It was boom, immediate. Now, the person that was running against her, I believe her name is Michelle Caruso Cabrera. She used to be a CNBC host. I remember, I covered clips that involved her, years ago or whatever. I think she moved to the district and bought this $1 million place, and she was getting all this money from billionaires and Wall Street executives and corporations, and the media was like, oh my God, AOC is so vulnerable. Oh my God, people don't like her. And then they got smacked in the face with reality. Now, any of those people in the media who were making those arguments, so vulnerable, are any of them going to come out and say, you know what? My bad, I was wrong. Turns out, she's not really disliked, especially in her district. Turns out, somebody who's loud and aggressive and on the left, it's a rare breed in power structures in DC. Now we have one of those, and everybody's like, oh, okay, I'm down with that. There's these default assumptions that they never question in mainstream media. Namely, it's okay if the right are aggressive lions for their cause. But if people on the left are like that, they just assume that that's not allowed, and that's unacceptable. But now she wins with 72%. None of the people who said she was going to get crushed are going to come out and correct and say, you know what, we were wrong, and this is a mandate. That's what this is. This is a huge win for Medicare for All. This is a huge win for a Green New Deal. None of them are going to say that. None of them. Now, by the way, this is Mondaire Jones here. I voted for him. He's in my district. He ended up winning, beat a bunch of, centrist goons. One of them was the son of a pharmaceutical executive who just tried to buy his way in. Pro-Medicare for All, first gay black dude elected to Congress, openly gay black dude elected to Congress. Crushed the competition. Is that a mandate for Medicare for All? Is that what that is? They'd never say it. And now, so the only out that they have, the one that she's using is, well, it's not that this is, outsider, anti-establishment, left-wing candidates, who won the day. It's just old versus new. But hold on. In the Mondaire Jones race, everybody was new in the race. Everybody was new. Because Nita Lowey is the congresswoman for the district. She's been in there since roughly 1473. And so she's stepping down. She's retiring. Everybody in the race was new. every other option was a new centrist, a pro-establishment candidate. They're all new, but they lost. What's the difference between Mondare and the other candidates? Oh, that's right. This guy's arguing for left-wing positions. So tell me again, why is it not a mandate for the left? Why does it never count when the left wins? I remember having this debate at Politicon. I was ringing off all the numbers. It was like, I honestly, I really don't remember. But you had damn near 100 DSA victories at the state and local level. And I remember sitting next to James Carville and Joe Lockhart or whatever his name is. They were just totally dismissed that point. I was like, okay, yeah, but at DSA won almost up to 100 seats in the last election, and you're saying only the center wins. Well, then how do you explain that? Well, that doesn't see what the thing is. The overall number of races, you lost a lot more than you won, so the ones that you won don't count. And then when I bring up to them, yeah, but you guys have a gigantic money advantage. So, if we on the left had your money advantage, we'd have a much higher win rate than you do. Yeah, but the thing with the left, it doesn't count because see, if it's a woman on the left who wins, she won because she's a woman, not because of the left-wing stuff. They always have an excuse. There's always an excuse. It never counts when the left wins. It always counts when the center wins. And they'll never learn the lesson because they're paid to not learn the lesson. The reason why she's on MSNBC, the reason why these hosts are in those positions of power is because they're there to reinforce the line of the establishment and the moneyed interests. They're not going to rock the boat too much. That's why Wolf Blitzer's on air for 1,000 hours a day, is because he's never going to say anything interesting. He's never going to question, the narrative. And the narrative always is, the way the Democrats win is to run to the center. Well, now we have an election where that clearly is not true. And so they changed the narrative to, it's about old versus new. It's about old versus new. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why Jamal Bowman beat Elliot Engel. If you have somebody with Elliot Engel's politics running against Elliot Engel, who knows what would have happened? Maybe Elliot would have won. But Jamal Bowman won because Jamal Bowman is arguing for very popular positions that all the polling data shows is what the people want. So there's always an excuse, guys. There's always an excuse. I remember they had all these numbers they'd trot out about the left is getting destroyed. And I had all the counter numbers. Hey, here's the percentage of the races that Justice Democrats won. And it was never enough. It was never enough for them. And it didn't matter that, I said, hey, we created this group. This group didn't exist before 2016. We created it after the loss, the 2016 election loss. That's when we created it. So we create this group out of nothing, and now there's already 9 Justice Democrats in Congress. And we did that with a permanent money disadvantage. What more did you want? What did you think, we were going to replace everybody in Congress in one election cycle? It's never enough. It's never enough, and they will always downplay it. They're paid to downplay it. So it's frustrating, but then again, it's what we expect. They're professional liars. They're paid to not admit their reality. And listen, sometimes the left loses. But when the left loses, I will try to objectively look at why that is. Sometimes our candidate just isn't dynamic enough, for example. Sometimes it is that money disadvantage. Sometimes it's tactical errors in terms of where the focus is on the campaign. But you don't take no for an answer. You keep showing up again and again and again. And my theory is eventually you won't be denied. But there's always a reason why our wins don't count and their wins 100% of the time count. Always, always, always count. They didn't even view Hillary's loss to Trump as, evidence that maybe neoliberal corporatism is on the way out. They didn't ever say that. They wouldn't allow themselves to entertain it. So it's always selective. It's always selective. But there you have it. And by the way, massive congratulations to all the lefty candidates who won, including Jamal Bowman, including Mondaire Jones, Qasim Rashid, and all the candidates, because it gave us a bright spot in 2020, which we needed.